lovely. So today I want to give you a little story time because I was watching Olivia Cara's video and it reminded me of a time that something happened to me. So I'm going to share that with you guys. I'm sure it's happened to you, like not this direct thing, but when you watch someone else talk about something that reminds you of something that happened to you. Well, that happened to me today. So yeah, here we go. So anyway, there's this guy, I'm going to name him Max, that we met on Plenty of Fish. And he seemed like a really cool guy from to start with. He had a few flags because he was 420 friendly, which I'm not really a big fan of. I'm not really into it, but I mean, I'm not going to tell someone else not to do something that they like to do, you know? So whatever. And he also smoked and he drank. But he was a fan of coffee, so apparently Brianna was like, yes, please, let's do this. Okay. So we met up at Starbucks, and our first official date, we met up at Starbucks, and I wore this cute flower print dress with a zip in the front that I bought from Torrid with a jean jacket and some cute little wedges. And he pulled up like 30 minutes late, and I was a little bit mad because let's be honest, if you're gonna come to meet up with someone and be late, it's kind of rude. And it just gives off a bad vibe, and at least for me anyway, I don't like when people are late. I try not to be late to things, and when people are late, it just makes me feel like they just don't give a shit. So yeah, there was that. And then we sat down to have some coffee. I had an iced coffee because that's my fave. And he had a black coffee with like nothing in it and was sat down, got his black coffee, took one drink and said hi to me. And we were talking, and then he was like, oh man, I need to talk to my friend. Cause he's all, oh, my drug dealer. Who does that? Saying that he needed to ask him, oh man, I left $5 and I can't find $5. $5? Okay, if you're broke, whatever. But why are you going to go on a date with someone and then talk about how you're broke and then complain that you can't find your $5 and you need to talk to your drug dealer? What kind of shit is that? I'm sorry. That is just lame. First of all, I didn't even ask you to pay for my coffee because I already had coffee when you got there because you were 30 minutes late. And anyway, I don't like people paying for my stuff anyway because I don't know, whatever. So we sat there and we were talking for a few minutes, and then he started talking about this girl that he was talking to. I'm sorry guys, but if you're talking to another girl, you're on a date with a girl, you don't talk about another girl. That's just like a main thing. You should know this all by now. You should know this. Everyone knows this, but apparently Max did not. So we sat there and he was complaining about how this girl blocked him on Facebook. So let me tell you the story. Apparently, she posted a provocative picture of herself on her Facebook page, and he didn't like the picture and thought it was too promiscuous for someone that he was talking to. So he messaged her and was like, oh, I want you to take that picture down. I don't like it. You're supposed to be talking to me. And she was like, oh, we're just hanging out. I could do what I want, basically, kind of thing. And he got mad, and so she deleted him. And then he's messaged her saying, why did you delete me? And she said, don't worry about it. These things happen. Get over it. And I'm like, why are you telling me this? Why would you tell anyone this on a first date to begin with? And do I seem like your therapist? Because I'm not. So aside from this guy having many flaws and many red flags, I continued to sit there and talk to him because I had already been talking to him a couple weeks before this, and he seemed like an okay guy, and he already had me on friends on Facebook. So I was stalking him obviously because that's what I do. I like to stalk people online, whatever. Anywho, so we sat there and we're talking a little bit longer, and then Okay, so there's a lot of stories that go on with this guy, but he's a handful. So if you want to hear those, just comment below and I will do another story time for that one. Because there's a lot that goes with this guy. Because I was hanging out with him for like a year or so. But anyway, the rest of the day, he starts talking to me, and then I was like, okay, why are you telling me all this? Just thinking it in my head. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes, well, not everyone you meet online you're gonna actually date. And like looks at me with like this, I'm talking about you, stare. Like, why are you gonna ask someone to meet you and then be an asshole? Please explain this to me. Like, why? But of course, Brianna had her head in the clouds. Oh, I need to be approved by everyone. What's wrong with me? I have no idea. This was a few years ago, you guys. Don't judge me too hard. I'm sure you will anyway. Anywho, so we sat there, and it's like, hey, let's go outside. I want to smoke. I'm like, whatever. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but you know what, whatever. If anyone else wants to, be my guest. So we went outside, and he started smoking, and then he's like, oh, let's hang out some other time. I'm like, whatever, yeah. And then I went home. And then, like, a year goes by, not a year goes by, a year later, because I'm not going to tell you all the stories in between, because we were still talking this whole entire time. But there are so many stories, so I'm just going to get to the end part. A year later, I started dating another guy, and I put it on Facebook that I was in a relationship with blah, 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 which is the same person I'm dating now. And he said, and I quote, the exact same thing that the girl said to him from earlier in this conversation. He told me, he deleted me, and then he messaged me the exact same thing she said. No big deal. Don't worry about it. Or something like that. The exact same thing she said. And then he put LOL. Like, get over yourself. Why are guys such assholes? Like, not all of them, obviously. You can find a few that are quite fabulous. I mean. But anyway, I'm very strange. So if you want to know the more stories, I'm sure I'll post them because why not make fun of myself, am I right? Have a good day, lovelies. Take a look at the links in the description below. And have a good night.